Hi, Michael.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing terrific. It's a sunny morning here in Orlando, Florida, so I'm not complaining today.
Firstly, thank you very much for accepting my invitation and accepting to be on my show.
Well, it's my pleasure. I was surprised to hear from you. You have so many brilliant people on your show that I was surprised that you reached out to me, an old man who used to be in television at one time.
Well, thank you very much. Your presence is extremely valuable for me. I have gone through your profile. I can see you have done a lot of work. So I thought to tell about your work and a little bit of your experience to my audience. So can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Well, my name is Michael Whelan. When I was your age, I was a television executive. I helped build HBO. I helped build another company called the Golf Channel. Both are billion-dollar companies. So I create, I write, I direct, I construct television companies. And I did that all the way through about 2005, at which time I retired because of health reasons at the time. I happened to come down with a stage 4 cancer, and it didn't allow me to do the traveling that I once did. So I had to reinvent myself once again. So I got into the creative aspect of the hospitality world. So I've worked for some of the major Fortune 500 companies, uh, Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, now Holiday Inn as one of their creative directors. And that's where you found me, pretty much as an advocate these days for cancer patients, for the mental health issues. And I also mentor and teach and work with a lot of the up and coming writers, directors, producers, people who have successful podcasts like you who want to maybe expand it and grow it a little bit more.
That's great. That's great that you have done a lot of work and you're encouraging youngsters and also you're contributing so much to the world in terms of hospitality and everything. So, can you share how your journey started into television? What made you to be a creative person and who inspired you first?
Well, I never had the intentions of getting into the television world. When I went to college back in the 70s, I wanted to I actually wanted to be a doctor. So I was a biology major and a liberal arts major in a small private school in Northern California with intentions of being an orthopedic surgeon. That's what I thought I wanted to be. That's what I did my entire career. And I went out to New York, getting ready to go to med school. And at that particular time, I wasn't sure if I really wanted, I didn't have it in my heart to be a doctor, but I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And by happenstance, I happened to temporarily date a woman who was an actress in New York City who took me to a party one time after one of the tapings of her show. And it was the first time that I got the opportunity to see how a television show is produced. And I found it absolutely fascinating, primarily because I've always been an athlete, and the work that goes into putting on a television show is very, very similar to that of a sports franchise. There's teamwork, there's execution. You have to be in sync. You have to know what everybody is doing to make sure that the show comes off beautifully. And I thought it was one of the most fascinating things that I had ever seen. Coincidentally, there was an after show party, and I happened to be introduced to the president of CBS Sports at the time. He happened to take a liking to me. My father at the time was involved in professional sports, and the president knew my father well. and said to me, look, if you ever decide not to become a doctor, I have a job awaiting for you here at CBS. So I spent about a day or two in my mind. I didn't share this with anybody. But the more I thought about it, the more excited I got about what I witnessed. And I called the gentleman up and I said, is the offer still available? He said, absolutely. And I said, well, when can I start? And that's how I got into television. It started off with CBS Sports. I did all of their uh, American football at the time. Their skiing shows, gymnastics, everything that was on the air at CBS. I lasted about 2 years at CBS. They made a few budget cuts. I was one of them. It's first in, first out. But I just so happened to get hired by HBO for a one show contract. And that 14-day contract ended up being 14 years at HBO.
Wow. So how was that 14 years of experience?
Yeah, it was fabulous. HBO back in the 70s. You're a little young for this, but HBO was, we take it for granted today. All the streaming shows, all the cable shows we see, but you got to remember back in 1970s, there was really only a couple of television networks. When you turned your television on, if you had 5 channels, you were lucky. And HBO at the time was the only cable show that existed, and they were the only show that was commercial free. So everything that HBO did back in the 70s and back in the 80s were like little movies. So the reason why people gravitated to HBO is that you were not interrupted with a commercial. You can sit and watch the entire show in its entirety. And when it came to sports, we were able to do things so much differently. Again, because there were no commercial interruptions, we had to always figure out what were we going to do from the opening kickoff to the final end of the show, because we were going to be there live the entire time. So we got to be creative. We became better producers, directors, writers, uh, documentarians. And I owe all my television skills to my 14 years with HBO Sports and the incredible people that took me under their wings and mentored me.
So my father and my mother used to see HBO, and when I was before this
Uh,
interview, I told that I'm going to interview a person who worked in HBO. Means like it was she was relating to the experiences that she used to watch the shows in my childhood when I was very younger.
Yeah, I was. I mean, you probably weren't even born when we did some of those shows, but back in the 70s, in the 80s, if you had HBO, that was one of the most exciting things because it was really the first place where you could watch movies, you could watch documentaries, you could watch sports. I mean, we did, back in the 70s and the 80s our major programming was championship boxing. You had people, Sugar Ray Leonard, you had Muhammad Ali, some of the biggest, Roberto Duran, some of the biggest names that people who even didn't follow sports knew of. HBO really transcended television in a way that everybody uh, ended up copying them. And today, when you turn on your TV, you've got 1,000 different channels. But most people don't remember the early days, how HBO really created the concept and the format to what we see today, whether it's streaming or whether it's on broadcast television.
So before talking more about your work in detail, I just want to quickly tell about my sponsor for this episode. Start Adam. Sales and customer facing teams often switch between several communication tools, causing time management and visibility issues that can slow down deal velocity. The solution: join Start Adam, where conversation converts. With Start Adam, your team can centralize all communications within your chat tool. No more switching, waiting, or fragmented chats. Because chat messaging is where business gets done. Sales teams can stay in Slack or Microsoft Teams and connect with customers, leads, or candidates on their existing chat tool, building better relationships through constant communication in inbound or outbound messaging. Make it encrypted and compliant. Plus, bring all communications into your CRM or ticketing system. No data entry required. Join Start Adam to enhance customer relationships and close deals at hyperspeed with unified chat. Thank you very much, Michael, for your presence again.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Absolutely. It's exciting. You know, I listen to all of you guys chat, and I'm always amazed because you have to remember I didn't have a cell phone until I was 38 years old. I didn't have a computer till I was almost 40 years old. So the things that we take for granted today that we use as everyday skills, I had none of that back then. So when I hear all of you use the computers and the AI and all of this, it absolutely amazes me to see how far we have come in my lifetime.
But you people are our inspiration. You have created something that we don't even know we as a humans can't even imagine that humans can able to do this. So with that inspiration only, all this technology, all creative work in televisions, in channels, it spread all over the world globally. So HBO is well known global channel, for watching everything in my childhood. So we used to talk, what we used to see at night in the HBO when I was in schooling. My friends, my relatives, my father used to watch a lot of movies and like you said, wrestling and sports. So we have a lot of connection, not just me, a lot of my friends who will be watching this conversation, they'll be relating to this and they'll be thinking that, okay, Michael was a creative, person in HBO and Sai is talking with him.
Yeah, we never thought back in the 70s and 80s that that media would turn out to what it is today. The digital formats and the way that back in the old days when you would do a show, the camera weighed 45 pounds. Nowadays, the cameras fit in the size of your hands. There's no more tape. It's all digital and it's all everything is done through files and the way you edit, the way you shoot things. You don't have to use film in movies anymore because you can replicate the entire look and save millions of dollars per, directing and writing and producing movies today. So, the younger generation is now starting to come in because they are such creative thinkers, individuals like you and others. And when you mix them with the older generation, you've got a hybrid of creative thinkers that can do anything that the mind can think of today. So it's my wife and I were watching a couple of shows the other night on television and just amazed about the CGI and everything that's done today that make things look so real compared to the Star Treks of the 60s and the 70s that we look at and we kind of laugh at the technology that was used back then. But back then that was just unheard of and unbelievable. And today it's just magical what can be done. And this creativity carries itself not just in the media, but it's in medicine and it's in all forms of technology that people use today to hopefully make the world a better place for all of us.
So we have you as examples to learn from. But when you was working in a creative field for the first time, and you don't have any examples before in 70s or 60s. So what was your motivation and what was your inspiration to do the creative stuff that you have done?
Well, it was, you know, creativity kind of takes its own pace. It's uh, you hope that you have a couple look, to put on television shows, to put on movies. You always need a group, a team of people. Like I shared earlier, that production of that show that I watched when I fell in love with the media. There are always two sides of creativity. One are the technical side, the people that understand that what can be done with film and recordings, and the other side are the creative people, the ones who have the stories in their mind, but don't know exactly how to, just like you did with me right now. You held my hand to get this conversation uh, on the air. I would not have known how to do it without you. So, it's a communication and a community of people that bring in the technological side of it with the creative side of it. And if you put those powerhouses together, you come up with movies and films and books and technology and medicine and architecture, and pretty much anything that you can think of today, we can create. And that's the beauty of it is that there is nothing off the table any longer. It's just moving faster and faster. And, do we have the people that can keep up with the mind of imagination?
And what do you feel proud of the work that you have done in the past?
I think what I've done most is I've given the opportunity to women and men to be able to tell stories. I'm a storyteller. I think that the beauty of what I did in the early 70s and 80s was able to take what was never done before and be able to turn it into everything is now a movie. Everything is now a beautiful way of writing, teaching people how to be creative and to how to write and how to direct. Today I'm most proud of the things that I do that are away from the technological aspect, and that is, working with cancer patients, having gone through stage 4 cancer over the past 2 years, has pushed me in another direction where I've become an advocate for people that suffer, one, from mental health disorders, and two, that are going through cancer treatment. And so if you would have asked me 20 or 30 years ago, where would I be at 70 years old? I probably would have thought that I would have been somewhere either retired playing golf, or in the television world. But life circumstances and my own personal tragedies have opened the door to fabulous opportunities where I'm able to give back today. I'm able to pay life forward. I'm able to help people. I'm able to give people hope when they don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So there's a different direction that my life has taken today, which I'm probably most proud of. If you ask a lot of people today who Michael Whelan is and what he did, there's going to be some people who remember me. I can show you my Emmys and my awards, and a few people will say, oh, yes. but I think I'm most proud that I've helped thousands of families who have gone through the worst times in their lives, and I've been there to give hope to many, to be an advocate at some of the finest cancer hospitals in the world. Every now and then, I still reach out to young and up and coming media, sensations like you and others, and I'm able to kind of give them the old school way of what I did and what I can do, and it makes them better broadcasters. It makes them better podcast presenters, better television executives, writers. So I still think there's a place for old guys like me who are sitting on their couch on a Saturday to help the younger generation. And I think if the younger generation is willing to reach out, there's a lot of knowledge that's still out there. And then there's a place to make shows, movies, books, technology in the future even better. But my guys, my age and women my age, unfortunately, we're dying off. We're dinosaurs, and we're coming to the end, and we're handing the torch to young and up and coming superstars like you now.
So just a couple of hours before I was sharing about the interview that I'm going to have now, with my mother, who is also a cancer patient, uh, who is suffering with cancer in a last stage and with the lung cancer. So who got, yeah,
You said your mother does?
yeah.
Mhm.
So
Is that how you found me?
Uh, not, but when I have seen your description, you
Oh,
know, so I have understood it. So I thought to do it.
yeah, I'm always interested how a lot of people find me. When I went on Twitter, I started off uh, talking about sports. That's the only thing that I knew. I didn't have very many following. I had maybe 200 people. I talked about a lot of the questions that you're asking me. And then two years ago, when I was diagnosed with stage 4 head and neck cancer, I switched my purpose from talking about the old days of sports to my daily uh, diary that I called my cancer update. And all I did every single day was share my experience of what it's like to go through the worst moment of your life. And lo and behold, it took off, and it went from 200 followers to what is now, I don't know, 18 or 19,000 people who wanted some place to go to, some place that where they were understood, some place where they were given hope, some place where they were given some type of a life manual about how to live when you're giving the worst news in your life, whether it's lung cancer or breast cancer or head and neck cancer or colon cancer. There weren't a lot of places for the millions of people worldwide to go to, and I just happened to be at the right place in the right time. And through my pictures and through my diary, I was able to touch the lives of millions of people worldwide. Uh, and lo and behold, all of the Emmys that sit on my desk in my office no longer play a role in what I do in life any longer. I spend time with people at hospitals, people in hospices, trying to make cancer research more affordable and easier to get, whether you live where you do or whether you live where I do. My goal is that every day that I wake up, and my I don't talk about it a lot, but I am a Buddhist, and my goal in life is, to try to make the world a better place every single day. And if I can do no good, I do no harm. So every day, that's what I do. I volunteer my time, my energy, however many years I have on this planet still, in trying to make it easier for those that are suffering and don't have somebody to hold them in their times of need.
So you talk to a lot of people who are suffering with this. So what do you feel when you talk to them or advocate them or see their mental health?
Well, I feel the first thing that I feel most of the time is their hopelessness. Is that that one, that they're never going to get better, or that nobody understands them, or that they're ashamed to share how they're feeling. Because nowadays it's become a lot easier for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're 13 years old or you're 93 years old, to talk about mental health issues. In fact, you're kind of applauded for being brave enough to talk about that. When I was young, you kept everything inside. It was shameful to talk to anybody about depression or anything that you were experiencing. Uh, you wore what we call the scarlet letter. You were shunned. You were ostracized by other people. You certainly didn't tell your boss at work. You would have lost your job. So a lot of people were forced into this darkness, this silence of having to suffer all alone, and your secrets are going to destroy you emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So, when I talk to people today, I think the biggest thing that I get is the sense that there is hope that they can get better, that the more that they reach out, the more that they talk about it, the more that they share what they're going through, the better their chances of getting better and improving. And eventually they will. And then they pay it forward to the next person, and it becomes a global way of making the world a better place. And that's the good thing of what Twitter's done. There's a lot of things about Twitter and social media that's not good, but there's so much that has saved people's lives, including mine. I always know that I have a place to go when I'm not feeling well, when I need help, when I need suggestions. And the community of people that I have around me now is absolutely fabulous, and it's a blessing to me, and it's a blessing to others. And some of my greatest friends now I've never met in my life, and some of the people that I've known forever have never been there for me. So it's kind of ironic the way things have worked out, but I value what I've been able to create for myself and for so many other people, to give everybody a sense of hope every morning.
What do you think about the purpose of your life?
The what?
The purpose of your life.
Um, I think the purpose of my life right now, as I've mentioned, the purpose of my life right now is to make healthcare affordable and available to everybody. It's to not allow people globally to suffer in silence any longer. It's to be an advocate for those that don't have the voice or the courage to speak out. And I still think the purpose, and it doesn't have the top billing any longer, but I still love helping young men and women who love the arts, who appreciate the arts, as being somebody who can give some direction and some guidance of my experience of the 50 years that I've been in the media business.
So creative business to advocating. So how is the journey?
Well, it's the the creative business takes a back seat. A lot of people have read my stories online, have heard many of the podcasts that I've done, and they've reached out to me very similarly to what you're doing right now. But the biggest journey and the biggest contribution that I make today by far is reaching out to the more of the medical, mental health, cancer world. Uh, and it goes beyond that. It goes to Parkinson's. It goes to dementia. It goes to ALS. While we might all have different types of diseases in our families, ourselves, and the people we love, the experiences that we all go through are all similar. We all hurt, we all cry, we all want, hope. And I'm starting to realize that there are there are hundreds of wonderful people on various social media sites that are there to lean on during your worst of times. I'm blessed that I happen to find my calling and have a place where I could go to unexpectedly, never imagining, as I said, some of the things that I post now, six and 700,000 views, and it freaks me out that I'm going, I can't believe that I just talked about something that was so minute in my mind, and it garnered so much attention around the world. I mean, whether you're in India, whether you're in Taiwan, whether you're in the United States or Canada, the friendships that I have made globally still surprise me every single day. I never thought that somebody who just wanted to share what I was going through would touch the hearts of so many people who would every day reach out to me. If I don't post for a day or two, my DMs blow up with people wanting to know if I'm okay. I mean, that is authentic love. That is what our purpose is in life is authentic love. It's caring for one another, to making sure that regardless of where you live, what you look like, what you believe in, that we have love for one another. And that's what I do. I don't get into the politics. I don't get into the religion. I don't get into the sexual orientation. I leave that for other people who are smarter than me. I accept and I love everybody. And I've learned that. That's one of the greatest things that I thank my mother and father for, is accepting everybody for who they are. It's the greatest gift that I have. It's the greatest gift that I think I've passed on to those around me. And at 70 years old, I'm being paid back in kind, just by reaching out and helping people today. And it's something that I never thought would happen. I didn't plan it. I don't have a syllabus for it. I'm in the middle of writing a book. And every day there's a new chapter because something new happens to me. So I'm hoping to finish it before I'm 100 years old. I don't want the book to be 25,000 pages. So that's my priority right now, is getting this book It's called I Built a Masterpiece and Then I Fell Apart. It talks about the ups and downs and falling down on life's road, but getting up to live for another day. And that's what I'm doing now. Uh, and hopefully one of these days I'll get it finished.
Awesome. So what your parents taught you how to live life?
Well, my parents taught, my father was involved in professional sports. He was a physician for an American baseball team. And we're going back into the 1950s and 1960s. So I would spend a lot of time with my father at the games. And back in the 50s and 60s, uh, I was exposed to a multitude of people of color. There weren't a lot of businesses that had this back in the 50s and 60s. Sports did. So I grew up with never seeing a difference between one person and another. I grew up loving and playing with and spending time with everybody. And, as I got older, and learned about racism and people's feelings, it was shocking to me because that was never my experience. So, the one thing that my mother and father did well, and probably the only thing that they did well, it was teaching me how to accept and to love everybody, and it's the greatest gift that they've ever passed on to me.
So what is the secret for your success in television industry?
Uh, Perseverance and accepting failure. One of the things that we will all do in life is we will fail much more than we succeed. We will fall down and have more bruised knees than we will score touchdowns and goals in our life. And for some people, it will destroy them. Some people will not be able to handle it and they will give up and they will quit. But for me, every time I've fallen down in my life, I've looked at it as a learning experience. I've looked at it as what did I do wrong? How can I improve? What can I do better? And so I've always thought that I've learned more in my life from failures than I have from successes.
So you are seeing two different generations when the technology was not there. Now the technology is everywhere. So how do you define that before and after this change?
Well, before you and I would have never met one another. There was a time in the 1950s and 1960s where you were not connected globally to one another. I would never have been able to accomplish what I've done in the last 2 years in the 1950s and the 1960s. Like I shared with you earlier, imagine not having a computer until you're 40 years old. You probably had a computer when you were 6 or 7 years old. You've always known what it's like to have a cell phone. I used to carry around a pocket full of quarters so that if I wanted to call somebody, I would stop at a payphone and stick quarters into the telephone to make a phone call. And you know what? We did okay then. I think that while there was not the technology, it forced all of us to be more social. It forced a lot of us to reach out and develop relationships a lot more. It forced us to spend hours outside playing sports. It forced us to do things that I think helped me grow as a human. It's why I get along with people so well, I think. It's the generation where I grew up. I don't isolate as much. I surprise myself because today I do work in a technology based uh, industry, uh, and it scares me every time I sit in front of a computer and I have to hit a key or something goes wrong. I do get anxiety because I don't know what I'm doing, but I figure it out somehow. Uh, uh, I didn't think this was going to happen today between you and I, and here we are. We made it work, and we made it work because why? Because it was teamwork. You know, my willingness to want to be part of your podcast, your willingness to help me out, and together we succeeded and we scored, and that's what it's all about. It's leaning on one another and it's helping one another and it's getting jobs done as a team and not as individuals.
So at last, people who are watching this from anywhere on this planet, they can be cancer patients or their family members who are suffering with cancer and who are, going mentally low or becoming uh, unstable. So what do
Mm-hmm.
you tell to them? What kind of words that you tell to them that will make them live more 30, 40 years?
I I I I can't predict uh, how long they're going to live. Uh, you know, we can follow the book. We can do everything, and sometimes it's in your DNA. Sometimes your illness may have progressed too far. What I can do is I can share with every single buddy that you won't be alone. And I think that that's the biggest part is, and I said this a little earlier, it's the fear of isolating. It's the fear that no one understands what you're going through. It's the fear that nobody will understand how I feel. And what I'm trying to create is a global community along with many others on Twitter that says that, you know what, when you don't know where to turn, I'm here for you. You can DM me, you can reach out to me. I mean, I spend, and my wife, I drive her crazy, but I spend hours and hours and hours every day reaching out to people who I've never met, who I've never known, who probably never expected me to even respond to them, but, I was once alone and there were people that were there for me. And I promised myself that if I got through this cancer when they gave me 17 months to live, that I would never allow another person to feel alone again. So my Twitter page, my postings are all about supporting one another. It's about having a place to go where you don't feel hopeless, helpless, uh, alone. Uh, now, I'm not, I can't make you live longer. I can't do that for you, but I can make sure that you have a sense of community and family every single day that you wake up. And I will do my best to help you get through the worst days of your life.
So I'll share your Twitter link, Twitter presence with my listeners, uh, people who wants to follow and listen to the work that you're doing and want to learn from you can able to learn it.
Yeah, it's you know, all they have to do is follow me. I haven't been posting as much as I normally have. I've had some health problems. I plan on getting back and going again with my cancer update journey. But if anybody follows me and they need help and they have questions, uh, we have a community of hundreds of thousands of people that if I don't know the answer, somebody does. So you never have to walk alone in the dark of these illnesses. And it's not just cancer. Like I said, it's whatever you're going through, somebody in the community has gone through it before. And they have the expertise and the knowledge of how to get through it. Uh, and that's the hardest part in life is reaching out for help. It's raising your hand and saying, I feel sad, I feel depressed, I want to give up. Uh, that's something that can be cultural, that can be something that's just not in your DNA to ask for help. But I will say this is that we have so many wonderful men and women who are there to always embrace, to hold you until you can walk by yourself at all times.
So can I put this video on my YouTube channel with your
Of course
permission?
you, of course you can.
And also, can I put this audio and video clip on my podcast, website, internet, social media, everywhere with your permission?
I give you my blessing to do whatever you would like with it.
So, at last, as an experienced professional, as a person who is into television industry for a long time, you might have met a lot of people for the creative work that you have done, had conversations with a lot of people in your life. So, you have seen a lot of creative work with your eyes, heard a lot of things with your ears. So, what is your observation about my work?
You know what? I went back and I watched all your work and I was really shocked. Uh, one, how smart you are. Two, the diversification of people that you have on your podcast. And when I watched all of it, I said, geez, I don't know if I'm even smart enough to be on his podcast. I was getting a little bit, I mean, for the first time in my life, I got a little bit worried that I was going to be with a guy who's too smart. So you had me scared a little bit for a while that, I was going to have to maybe cut out of the signal and pretended like we had a bad feed or something. I think what you're doing is exactly what Twitter is for. I think the production, the questions, the diversification of people, you're doing everything right. Uh, you know, you're getting all of the knowledge. So one day, who knows? You're going to be hosting your own television show, or you're, or a podcast that's seen by millions and putting a lot of money in your pocket. Look, we all love what we're doing, but let's all be honest. We like to get paid for what we do a little bit. It makes life a little bit better to get that paycheck every single week. But I think what you're doing is absolutely fabulous. It's clean. It's first class. It sounds great. It looks great. I wish I knew how to do what you're doing because I would copy you if I did.
So I got sponsored after 3 years of doing this work, with a lot of
That's
struggles.
fabulous. That's fabulous. Somebody saw the value of what you're doing, and it doesn't happen overnight. Success is a process. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint. And I think that you having a sponsor gives you the opportunity now to get another sponsor, and then another sponsor, and then another sponsor. And as those sponsors come in, uh, you either have to make the show longer, or there's less production in it. But at the end of the day, that's how you become successful. It's people recognizing you for having quality work and wanting to attach their name to you. That's brilliant. You're ahead of 95% of podcast people right now.
That means a lot. A person who worked in HBO, the world's
Apps.
biggest
Look,
channel.
look, everybody's got podcasts, but not everybody has a podcast that's recognized by somebody who says, here's a couple of dollars. I want to be the title sponsor of your show, or I want to, I want to run a commercial. I mean, your next thing is running a commercial during your show. And that's how you grow. And finally, it evolves into a television show. And that's how it starts off. And you're young, you've got years and years ahead of you. But I think you're going to be surprised when you look back in 10 or 15 years. And when you're famous around the world, you're going to laugh at what you did in the early years, but it was necessary to get you to where you need to be.
At that time, I watched this video.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll try to rewind what you said. So, what do you have words for my mother, who is
I,
a
I,
patient?
you said your mother has lung cancer,
Yeah,
and did she go through chemotherapy and radiation for
not radiation, chemotherapy for 2 years, 2.5 years.
it? And how is she doing now?
Uh, they stopped giving chemotherapy because the medicine is no more working. So they said there is no more medicine for this.
Are there any trials where you live where she can go get into any trials?
Uh, Not yet, because the treatment has been done for 2.5 years. From because of more chemotherapy, she's getting side effects, and
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, so those are things which is making her feel. Now also she's not feeling well. She's
yeah.
sleeping now, so
Well, look, e- e- everybody who goes through cancer at some stage, some of us, the cancer just overpowers the body to the point where, as you said, the chemotherapy and the radiation is no longer working, and it's going to do more harm than it is going to do well. Uh, Without trials, uh, I just hope and pray that your mother has family around. I hope that she has, and I'm not sure about where you live, your medical, that, over here we call it palliative care. What palliative care is a department within the cancer hospital that makes sure that your mother is comfortable as can possibly be at all times. Um, you know, your mother you can show her how to get onto Twitter, and I would be more than happy to chat with her at any time if she has any questions. Uh, we just got to hope that, fingers crossed, uh, that that she lives a healthy, long life with no suffering.
so
That's what I mean. That's what we want. Uh, you know, I'm I'm glad that they stopped the chemo at a certain time. They recognized that the side effects and what it was doing was not going to do any good. The next step that she has, is that if there are any lung cancer trials in your area, uh, that's the next step. Or is just, let's hope that, her time is not for a long time and she feels good and she doesn't suffer. Uh, and that's all we can do.
So
How does she feel most of the time?
uh, up and down, like you said,
Yeah,
sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes
yeah,
most of, most of the time she feels tired. She sleeps all the time.
yeah, yeah. Uh, Look, cancer sucks. You know, there's no doubt about it. Um, as a cancer advocate, working with thousands of people, not all stories end great. I'm not here to say that everybody who I've been a part of their lives, they miraculously live and everything is great. And, there's a lot of the endings of these stories don't end the way that they want to. Uh, all I can say is this, is spend as much time with your mother as you can. Make sure she's as comfortable as she is. Make sure that her doctors know what's going on so they can help administer or change anything they possibly can to make her as comfortable as they do. On the days that your mother is good, get her out of the house, get her some fresh air, and never forget to tell her how much you love her. And that's the only thing that you can do at this particular stage.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put your words in my mind.
Yeah. Never forget to tell her every day how much you love her. Those are magical words that mean so much to people. Um, and I think that it's not necessarily only important for her, but it's important to you as well. When your mother has cancer, the entire family has cancer. Everybody goes through it. Everybody suffers. In fact, sometimes the ones who suffer the most are the ones who can't do anything about it. They have to watch somebody suffer and they want to fix it and they can't do it. And that can be even harder than those of us who actually have gone through it. So you got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. If you have siblings, a father, uncles, brothers, it affects everybody, and you have to make sure that you look at the wellness of the entire family that's going through this, because like spokes, it can affect a lot of people besides the person who has the illness themselves.
Definitely. I'll keep all the words. I'll make sure
Yep.
everything will be positive and try to spread the positive vibes.
It's the hardest thing that you can do when somebody is suffering. You don't want to see somebody who used to be so alive and have so much energy suffering in front of you. It's a very heartbreaking experience. Um, but I don't know if there's a lot of they're starting to develop this more and more here in the U.S. about wellness centers, because they realize that cancer is an emotional, a spiritual uh, problem as well, and that people need to be cared for from the spiritual and from the emotional side, as well as the medical side. So if you do have the ability as a family to make sure that you're okay, because if you're not okay and your family's not okay, you can't take care of your mother the way that she needs to be taken care of So, just keep an eye out for yourself. Watch your, you know, you know, it's easy not to share how you're feeling inside because you don't want your mother to feel uh, like her illness is affecting you. And sometimes it's okay. I mean, even when my wife and my family and my friends told me how they felt, I was sad to hear it, but it brought us closer uh, together as a family to do that. It's a horrible thing to go through. I don't wish it on anybody, but but make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Definitely. I'll put all your words and I'll try to do everything that you have said. And
Yeah,
also I'll make people to know what you have said,
yeah.
who are going through this. And I'm sure people who are listening to this from anywhere on this planet will definitely, take your words very seriously and, your words means a lot to them.
Well, I need to, you've kind of reminded me that I need to get back on my webpage and start to post a little bit about taking care, uh, as as somebody who takes care and helps a family member or a loved one to make sure that you take care of yourself too. Because
Yeah,
we forget that, and we can spiral downhill without even recognizing it.
that's great.
And now that you know me, I'm always here. So if you need to reach out, you can always reach out. You know how to reach me now.
Yeah, it means a lot to me that you have given me so much time to talk with you and also share your experiences and you let me ask some questions to you.
Yeah, I'm always here for you anytime you need me.
So one time I want to make my not now, whenever you're free, whenever you're available, when you feel comfortable, I want to make you talk with my mother so that she'll feel happy.
You let me know when you want me to do that. I would be more than happy to do that. Saturdays are always the best days for me, but if your mother's up to it, let's plan it one of these Saturdays, and I would love to talk to all three of us can have a nice conversation.
Definitely next Saturday if possible.
And the most important thing when you do that is write down the questions that you think would be important for your mother to ask, so you're prepared when we get together.
I'll write it.
Because I would love, well, I would love nothing more than that, to help your mother and to at least talk to her and be a support for her as well.
Definitely, I'll write it before I do it. Thank
Okay.
you again,
All
Michael, for
righty.
your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
Take care, sir.
And a great weekend to you and your family.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Start Adam. Sales and customer facing teams often switch between several communication tools, causing time management and visibility issues that can slow down deal velocity. The solution: join Start Adam, where conversation converts. With Start Adam, your team can centralize all communications within your chat tool. No more switching, waiting, or fragmented chats. Because chat messaging is where business gets done. Sales teams can stay in Slack or Microsoft Teams and connect with customers, leads, or candidates on their existing chat tool, building better relationships through constant communication in inbound or outbound messaging. Make it encrypted and compliant. Plus, bring all communications into your CRM or ticketing system. No data entry required. Join Start Adam to enhance customer relationships and close deals at hyperspeed with unified chat.